where the
Okay,
men.
all right. Are you ready for this? This is actually my point. Who funds those shelters? The men. That's my point.
So
The
why
men
don't
go to
men
work to fund everything the women
man
do.
shelters? That goes back to my point. Why don't men fund men shelters? I feel like we have these conversations, but it kind of comes back to men don't care about men. Like, why don't men fund men shelters?
So
Why don't men do that?
that is a good question, but I think maybe the point that's getting missed is that somebody has to be the producer, right? So when I notice women talk about these topics, you talk as a consumer. Somebody has to be producing, and producers usually do not enable other producers to become consumers.
So when I do like a backtracking of the general consensus of like men, and to see like when are they getting this, what we declare as like social emotional learning, where they're learning the intrapersonal, the interpersonal, intragroup, and intergroup. If that is not happening in the home, then we know it's supposed to spill over into the schools, which is a whole nother issue, right? And I've said this before on the panels. I've said that they're intentionally allocating funds to sports programs and not to your SEL, not to your STEM and your STEAM. And we're not even going to talk about disability. But my point of the matter is something that's so natural for us as women. There's no strategic, dedicated time for young men from the time that they are put inside of schools, which is pre-K, to the time that they graduate and say that they're supposed to be adults, which is high school. So from pre-K to 12, there's no real exclusive time dedicated to that male development. It's just, we want you to get in here and perform academically. And I think that's why a lot of the times the men delve into sports, but I still think SEL is complementary, because you see a lot of men and young boys get into it when they're having sports altercations, and it gets really physical and really aggressive. And you're like, yeah, calm down. Like, it's still just a game base, but it's so much of an identity marker for them. So I'm just saying all that to say a lot of what sometimes does not happen in the home, as to what Trigger Mike is saying, because the families are broken down, we have not advocated enough for our systems and our educational schools to teach and foster SEL as well, which I think would bring men together, would force them into those groups, and we wouldn't be asking for them to have these skills as grown men that they should have developed when they were kids. So sometimes it's just unrealistic for them to present themselves in ways that they were never taught. And that's why I say that pressure for stoicism and expressional or emotional expression, they want to do it. Some just don't know how, some just are not comfortable, and some of us as women just have not made that space for them. So I ain't really trying to point fingers. I'm just looking at it. If it's something that they're supposed to be taught because it's not natural, when are they taught? When are they consistently taught? I just want to know that, because if they're not, then we're blaming them for something that they literally haven't had exposure to. So
Can I add
sorry.
something real quick? Just add this.
Go ahead, respond, Trigger.
Just real quick, just to add, because I was sitting here pondering on Ty's question, like, damn, that was a good question, because it's a pertinent question to say, what can we do now? And I'm a bit of a sensationalist, right? I always speak in more absolute terms, but you're right. What can we do now for the people who may have the chances of him getting back with his baby mama are done. Chances of her getting back with him are done. So that's a real question. And we have to understand, just kind of like what Ms. Pearl said, we have to be open to any and all remedies, because I've noticed this in the school system, especially. We are open to everything when it comes to helping boys until the problem is their mother. So sometimes the answer is giving up custody to that father. Are we ready to talk about that? So that is something we can do. If it has to do with boys, then watch, if y'all ever talking to people about this and they really want to talk about it, bring that particular thing up and watch the whole mood of the room change. Sometimes that boy got to go with his daddy. That is something that people with severed relationships, they tried it, they were married, they got divorced, maybe they tried living together, tried making it work for the baby, it didn't work. Now you might have to get that boy to his daddy or that girl to her daddy, because that is what people can do. I would say that is a fix that people can implement now.
All right. So first of all, Trigger literally stole. He didn't steal it because I'm sure we all had the same thought after thinking about it for a while, but I actually had the same thought. What Ty asked, men need to adjust. Well, we are adjusting. We just not adjusting in the way that y'all thought we would have, which is, oh, well, y'all go out and form all these like group things. No, men are adjusting by saying, give me my kid. Men are adjusting by going through the court system and making the court more fair to where fathers get access to their children a whole lot more than they once did. Because at one point, courts did favor the mother. That's, if you actually think about it, the reason why mothers was able to form these groups and form these spaces for their kids, because they were the ones that had them. Like, why, if I was a father and I only saw my kid once every other weekend and during the and on the holidays, and if distance is a factor, would I go and form an entire organization if I don't even have my kid there to be there with me? That's something that you would naturally start to form, just like Trigger said. If you send your kids out and you're watching your kids, you're gonna watch everybody else in the neighborhood. You're gonna start building things for your kids. That's why you often see in like Pee-wee football and Pee-wee sports, the dads become the coaches. The dads become the helpers and things like that because their kids are in the sports. So men are adjusting. They're getting, like, you're starting to see men fight for custody a whole lot more. And with technology and with fathers' rights organizations and things like that, you're starting to see that men are starting to get custody of their children. I'm a person that did it myself, and I did it without a lawyer against somebody with a lawyer. So you know what I mean? I agree. We probably would never go back to the nuclear family like y'all like it once was, because shit, I don't. But we are adjusting. It's just not the way you think, because that's not how men. We don't operate in the sense of where we're gonna go and raise somebody else's kids. And
Sweeney, you pause for a second. I was just gonna say, you saying that just made me realize how different we think. Like, I think it just, we've been saying this, but it's just like hit me hard, like how different, because you were like, women do that because women have kids, but it's women that do that don't have kids. It's women that go out and make, organizations or groups and stuff that don't have children at all. It's a whole foundation in Chicago called Love, and the woman that was over the foundation had no children. She just had a child. She's had the foundation, I think, for 15 years. But it just reiterates that men don't have that need. You don't have that want to do it until you experience it. So
I don't think that's what I meant by that.
I
would
don't got
say,
time. First of all, we don't got time.
you said
Somebody
what?
got to pay these bills.
you
I'm
said,
like, we don't got time. That's not fair. We ain't got time.
how don't you have? So wait, hold on, Trigger. So are you saying that the amount of time that a woman has in a day is different than
Yes.
the amount of time that a man in today's society has in a day?
So
we don't have the same amount of time.
So
It's
if
not
we're
the same
just going
amount
to
of time
talk
in a day?
about it collectively, real quick, if we're going to talk about it collectively,
Mhm.
somehow, some way, women always end up with enough help or enough assistance or enough cushion to do labor of love. Men have to do actual labor for their life, for survival. So usually, if we create something good enough, or a woman stays with her parents, right? Girls don't get kicked out the same way boys do,
No,
right?
they
They
do
get to
not.
stay in the house when they go to school. A boy has to go out to work to survive. A girl usually has somebody she can have assist her. She lives with her boyfriend. She lives with her husband. She lives with her daddy. So that's what they end up doing, labors of love like that, way more than men ever could.
Even in today's society, do you think that still relates to today's society, that men get kicked out
Yes.
at the same rate that men
I have a
don't
family
to
member.
stay?
I have a family member that's 2 years younger than me. She fell on hard times. She lost her job. My parents moved her from California into their house for 2 years.
Okay.
She didn't pay a bill. They would never do me like that. Like, you mean they would never do that for their
That's
son.
your family, though. I have a family. My family is woman-led, okay? And my family member is a man in his 60s who fell out on hard times. We're not going to say how many times, but every single time a woman in the family lets him come and stay rent-free with them for as long as he needs to until he gets on his feet. It hasn't been one boy in our family that has been kicked out because of lack of
understand.
anything,
Yeah.
lack of job, lack of going to school, lack of ambition, nothing. The
We're
only
just
reason
talking
they
about
do end
general.
up
Yeah, we're
leaving
just saying
is
in
because
general.
they want to.
In
And I feel like
general, girls,
a
yeah.
lot of boys nowadays.
In general, girls will have 1,000, like how many like shelters? Just think about it. Shelters are for women and children. The men got to get out, right? This is just something that's common in our society, and we applaud the women being able to do it. But I understand why these things are women led. I understand why things
Who
dealing with
leads
health
those
are women led.
shelters, Trigger?
Say again.
Who leads those women-led shelters and women and children-led shelters? Women.
Yeah.
Where are the
Okay.
men?
All right. Are you ready for this? This is actually my point. Who funds those shelters? The men. That's my point.
So
The
why
men
don't
go to
men
work to fund everything the women
man
do.
shelters? That goes back to my point. Why don't men fund man shelters? I feel like we have these conversations, but it kind of comes back to men don't care about men. Like, why don't men fund man shelters?
So
Why don't men do that?
that is a good question, but I think maybe the point that's getting missed is that somebody has to be the producer, right? So when I notice women talk about these topics, you talk as a consumer. Somebody has to be producing, and producers usually do not enable other producers to become consumers. Like, this is why boys get kicked out. You ain't about to be in this house leeching off me. You better learn how to take care of yourself. Because if I coddle you, if I let you stay, you just gonna keep. You see this married to medicine BS going on with their son? That's how you create. Like, producers will not enable other producers to become consumers. Girls are the consumers. We accept that. Y'all have the children. It is the gift y'all give to us, so we'll let y'all mooch off us for life. But when I'm looking at my son, I'm treating him completely different than I'm treating my daughter.
So can we say full circle that the issue is that the perspective and perception of how men treat men and view other men and what they should be doing is the problem? Because
Not
from your words itself, you stated that men are the producers, women are the
Mhm.
consumers, and you don't believe that you should allow other producers or potential producers to become consumers, even if it's in a detrimental state, even if they can't produce, even if they don't have the tools, even if they don't have the resources. It doesn't matter. You're a man. Figure it out. Will we
Yeah,
say
I think
that's a man's
I'm
mentality?
actually agree, and I'm actually agree because the Scott. I'm gonna use the video to do that. I'm sorry, I'm not monopolizing. This is the last thing I'll say. The guy actually said it in the video. He said you cannot continue to have a society of women that thrive when the boys are struggling this bad. And what he's basically preparing the world to say is that we shifted all the focus and we shifted all the resources to female-led, DEI-driven girls rock. We're going to need to pull back on that because now we got a bunch of psychology degrees and no plumbers and electricians. So what I took from that is that to say he's going you already see Trump doing it. They are about to do a whole trade school push to say, we don't give a damn about all the rest of that. These boys, we're going to give them purpose. We're going to give them skills. When they watch themselves work for a paycheck, and that investment that we make in boys is how society of men in general can help the boys out. And that's where we're deficient.